So Asajj Ventress finally made it back in the latest episode of The Bad Batch Season 3, and for me and for most, if you stop and think about it just for a second, there are writers or directors of The Bad Batch that are saying that definitely Asajj Ventress' story does not end with the last episode as she left, but it is going to continue on, and it's definitely she's going to appear in another episode of The Bad Batch, perhaps in the finale. The cavalry has arrived, that's what it's called, and it seems like the cavalry, in this case, will be Captain Rex, Gregor, Asajj Ventress. There's a lot of people that are going to come together as a reunion during the finale of the entire series, basically because Season 3 is the last one of The Bad Batch. Alright, so we need to stop and think about it for a second. Asajj Ventress is a dangerous assassin who worked for the Separatists. During Republic times, she went toe-to-toe with a young Anakin Skywalker. And Anakin Skywalker post-Attack of the Clones very closely so, and in the Clone Wars cartoon version that came out in 2003, she was the one who gave Anakin this scar on his right eye. During the Obi-Wan series, now I need you to pay attention because it all connects. During the Obi-Wan series, Obi-Wan stumbled upon the Hidden Path, a group led by Quinlan Vos who was out to save people from the Empire. It is a hidden underground railroad kind of thing that takes prisoners, takes slaves, and all sorts of lost souls that the Empire is searching for and helps them. This also would include, I presume, Jedi survivors. Now remember what Jedi was in charge of it? As I said, it is Quinlan Vos. Who is Quinlan Vos connected to mostly? It is Asajj Ventress. Both of them have their fates intertwined, especially after reading the Dark Disciple novel, where essentially we were led to believe that Asajj Ventress was dead. Now she is back, and I think, without a shadow of a doubt, that Asajj is working closely with Quinlan Vos, although they're keeping it a complete secret. But let's get back to the Obi-Wan series, because this is important. This pertains Darth Vader and his cameo in The Bad Batch. Before you go crazy, let me say this. During that same scene where Obi-Wan finds out that Quinlan Vos has been in charge of a hidden organization, a secret pathway for Jedi survivors, for Imperial prisoners, or defectors, during that same scene, Obi-Wan finds out about Quinlan Vos. Darth Vader appears in that village and terrorizes it in order to entice Obi-Wan to appear, to show himself. So now, essentially, we have an Asajj Ventress who is doing the same thing. First of all, why did she choose to appear in this planet with the Bad Batch, and why did she take such a great interest in Omega? Yes, you could say that Fennec Shand passed on that information, but she could have refused it. Essentially, what Asajj Ventress wanted is to find out more about these clone survivors. She saw that they still have screws loose in their head and they're still very much independent, but she was interested more in Omega. When she saw that Omega is still long ways away, or perhaps not a Jedi survivor per se, then she kind of dismissed them and went her separate way, but not before even giving them advice to leave the planet, to be wary of the Empire. They are gonna hunt you down. And so all of this leads me to believe that Asajj Ventress is definitely working with Quinlan Vos in the Hidden Path, and she came here in hopes that she needs to rescue Omega and the Bad Batch, but from what she saw that these guys will never listen to her and actually join her. They are on their own separate path, and Asajj is doing the same. Now we come to the midichlorian count, because now we're involving much bigger players than just Imperial officers, commanders, and defective clones. Now we're getting into Jedi territory. And when midichlorian counts are involved, now we're talking the Emperor, as we saw Emperor Palpatine appeared in the first episode. But in the last episode, I truly believe that Darth Vader will make his cameo in animated version. The first time we saw him was in Rebels, then slightly in the Clone Wars finale, and now it is time for him to appear in The Bad Batch. And I mean, my god, imagine how beautiful Darth Vader will look in this new cinematic version of the animated series, because in the old Clone Wars and Rebels also, not that Rebels didn't look good, but but it didn't look as nearly as good as this Bad Batch series, which looks stunning. And I can imagine what Darth Vader's suit will look like. Will it be reflective? In the Clone Wars series, it was not that reflective. In Rebels, it was. Now we're going to probably see a middle version in the Bad Batch. Darth Vader in a full suit of armor, perhaps with red lenses too. That will be perfect. Because as I said, Omega is a valued prize. And for the Emperor to catch her, he needs his top guy. Now, you may remember what the Emperor said to Hemlock in episode 1, that not all of the Imperial factions, Imperial servants of his, approve of his plan of Project Necromancer, and I believe that that man is Darth Vader. He didn't approve of the Death Star. What makes you believe that he could approve Project Necromancer? And we see in the comics he learned about Project Necromancer years later after Empire Strikes Back. But we've also seen in the comics that Darth Vader accepts missions without them being fully explained. Palpatine even sent him to take Force-sensitive children's list without even telling him. It was actually Jaqqa Sanu who let him know what the Emperor is up to. Vader was not one to ask questions when it came to secret missions from the Emperor, and so he could be out here searching for Omega without even knowing actually why. This could be the first hint that Darth Vader gets of Project Necromancer, perhaps not realizing entirely what Palpatine wants with Omega, but nonetheless, he has his orders and he needs to take her down. But I revealed everything in connection to Darth Vader and why he must appear in the finale, albeit from the Obi-Wan series, Quinlan Vos, Asajj Ventress, but in the end, Vader is all about revenge. Not about capturing Omega, not about going against defective clones, Bad Batch, nothing of that. He wants revenge. And who has left a complete stain on his ego up until this point? It's not just Obi-Wan, it is Asajj Ventress too, because as I mentioned in the beginning, his right eye scar was left when he was younger, and a younger Asajj Ventress. Both of them, young apprentices, fought against one another, and it seems that Asajj got slightly the upper hand. This will lead Darth Vader to exact complete revenge on Asajj Ventress. It would be a very cool moment also if his helmet is again for the third time. It's now cliche, but this time I think it actually works, because if his helmet on the right side is penetrated, pierced, and destroyed, and we see his eye and his scar, then we fully get the gravity of the situation. It was Asajj Ventress who did this to him, and now she will pay. So this is not just me speculating that Darth Vader needs to appear in the Bad Batch and why he might appear here or there, but it is absolutely justified. Now with Asajj in play, it is justified that Darth Vader, formerly Anakin Skywalker, who fought and lost to Asajj Ventress, would be backed for a complete bombastic rematch. I would love to see that, and I know that you would love to see that too. So talk to me down below in the comments.